Hey, how's it going, everybody? If you're new here, welcome in, and if you've been here before, let me know what you were carrying in your pocket today. What was your EDC today? And take a good look at what we got on the table, because today I am talking about two new knives that you absolutely have to know about. And you know what? It seems like there's two races going on right now. One of the races is companies trying to justify their upward climb in prices as they try to account for tariffs. And the other one is a pure race to the bottom. And it's left consumers kind of confused as to what's going on. Are we still competing for creating the best knife possible for the lowest price possible and nailing all of the design cues that users and enthusiasts care about? I'm Rollshambo, the connoisseur and collector of all things sharp and shiny, and today I'm talking about these new offerings from our friends over at MSC, and I'm really excited. Let's get into it, starting off with the first one. This is the MSC Mantle. Look at it. Look, this is a premium offering from MSC. The last time I reviewed a new release from them, it was aluminum, it was affordable, and I said it was great because it addressed a whole bunch of things from their first lineup that I had asked for. This is their first new premium offering with premium materials at a reasonable price. And this one has greatly impressed me for a number of different reasons. First of all, we're looking at a knife that is just shy of 8 inches overall, coming in around 7.8 inches overall with a 3.3 inch blade made of S35 VN. So it's CPM S35 VN, which is getting more and more expensive. We've got a bead blasted primary grind and then a burnished flat with a deployment hole, front flipper, rear flipper situation. It makes it very fidgety. The action is running on ceramic bearings, and it is, of course, a frame lock. It features T8 hardware all the way around, 3D milled titanium pocket clip, which, by the way, has a decent amount of stiffness, but not so stiff that it doesn't have give. That's a very good pocket clip design. A 3/4 length titanium geared back spacer. And I gotta say, they did a phenomenal job really bringing this design together. It's definitely an overbuilt knife, but it doesn't necessarily feel super overbuilt for what it is. For all this titanium, you might look at this and say, oh, that's got to be like 8 ounces. It's not. It's not light by any stretch, but look at all of this titanium and the size of this knife. And hear me when I say that this whole thing is 5.3 ounces, which is perfect. We got some good internal milling right there. It's got, of course, the updated modern lock bar, which is to say it has a steel lock bar interface as well as an over travel stop. And the lockup on this bad boy is going to be coming in right around, we'll call that 30%. How's quality of life? It's good. Very good. No wiggle, no jiggle there. Action is good. Blade centering is good. And the best way to deploy it, I mean, shocker, it's going to be the deployment hole. They did a really solid job on that. But the good news is they got everybody covered. They got the front flippers for those who like front flippers. They got the rear flippers for those who like rear flippers. And then for the rest of us who are normal, the deployment hole works very well for a reverse flick as well as a thumb flick. S35 VN titanium, all of the titanium accoutrement. And it's going to be coming in about $178. That's not the most impressive part about this model from them, though. The most impressive part is what I'm about to show you. You can, in fact, get this in crystallized Damascus and DLC for $250. And that's not just DLC on the blade, that's DLC on the titanium as well. And then they upped it a notch by not just giving us Damascus, but crystallized Damascus. We have a hell of a time getting regular crystal tie, and here they are giving us crystal Damascus. And that's not the only one. If you don't like the colors, if you want more of a two-tone, situation, you can get it in this silver crystal Damascus with DLC. That's absolutely bananas. You will pay for it to the tune of $250 for either of those options in DLC and Crystal Timascus, but it's absolutely bananas. And they have a regular Timascus option as well, you know, if you just like to be kind of fancy, but that's entirely your call. It is without saying that you can, of course, pick this up for $245, so $5 less. At this price point, I'm going to tell you right now, you might as well go for the Crystal Timascus because that's not something I've seen before, and it's really freaking cool. It feels nice and refined, but also overbuilt and chonky at the same time. That's not... Balance on this guy is perfect. And you know what? If you don't want the fancy schmancy Crystal Timascus that I just got done showing you, you can, of course, get it in this setup, which is going to be your plain Jane tie, nice milling on the handle scales, single-sided captive pivot, a lanyard hole for those who do decide to put a lanyard on this. I wouldn't, but that's entirely up to you. And we've got the Malsec logo right there on the lock bar cutout. Not a whole lot of branding and billboarding on this guy. Right there on the cutout, that's the only Malsec branding that I can see. Well done, Malsec. Well done. $178 for this. $250 for one of the fancy ones. That's definitely a winner. Now, the next one, I saved the best for last. And when I mean the best for last, I mean it. This one is honestly putting it over the top for me. I've been asking to get my hands on this specific knife since they teased it about a year ago. And they promised me. They said, Rolls, we'll let you know when it's ready, but we're taking our time with this because we want it to be a hit. And I'm glad they did. I'm very glad that they did because it turned out really, really nice. This knife is perfect for EDC, and let me explain exactly why. First of all, we're looking at an overall length of 6.5 inches, titanium sculpted and contoured handle scales, S90V blade. Now, on the blade, if you're not a big fan of this Wharncliffe sheep's foot style blade, they have several different variations of this knife with different blade shapes. One of them includes a nice and aggressive looking drop point, and they're all the same price. They're all the same price. S90V, super, super thin cutting geometry right there behind the edge. And of course, it's a frame lock with a 3D mill tie clip and a half-length titanium backspacer. On this one, we've kind of got this pig snout lanyard option. Honestly, that's kind of how I prefer it. I prefer it like that. I don't want them to drill through these scales. Drill through the backspacer. If you're wondering, well, how, like, I'm one of the few people out there that uses a lanyard. How do I get it in there? Take it apart, put the lanyard into the backspacer, and then reassemble it, and you'll be locked in and ready to rock. Deployment options on here are perfect. We've got 2 deployment options. They're not trying to give us all of the options in the world. We've got a front flipper, which works really good, and of course a deployment hole. And man, this thing is sweet. Oh, that action is so good. Now, I understand that some of you guys may have already made your way to the comment section to write me a comment somewhere to the tune of, cool story, bro, 6.5 inches isn't big enough to get the job done. Let me explain something to you. It's not about the overall size. It's about how the real estate is utilized for ergonomics. You might be familiar with an Oz Machine Company Roosevelt. This is mine. This is a 7-inch knife, and yet nobody has an issue getting a nice full 4-finger grip on here. Why? Because you've got part of the handle going into the blade, and so you have perfect grip on here, and you can get a nice full grip on the regular sized Rosie without feeling like the knife is too small. Well, this is a bigger knife than this. However, if you check this out, you'll notice they utilize the ergonomics the exact same. You have the same amount of real estate to get a grip on the 808D as you do on the Rosie. I almost wonder if they actually borrowed a Rosie and said, you know what, let's design our ergos after this, but unlike Oz Machine Company, we'll actually give them, you know, contoured and sculpted scale. And hear me out, guys. This is one of those knives that you throw in your pocket when you want something that's going to get the job done, something that's going to be very entertaining to carry, to deploy, something nice and reliable, something you can feel good about, not just on the aesthetics when you carry it and pull it out, but also when you need to get some work done, it's going to be there for you. Thin cutting geometry and S90V is a perfect mix. And it's $150. Now, they don't have crystal Damascus versions of this knife, but they do have one in full DLC. That's DLC on the titanium, DLC on the S90V, and you only pay $150. That's right, no upcharge to go full DLC. If you want to black this guy out, full DLC, same price. And I'll do you one even better. My discount code still works for MALSECT. That's right. RSB10 will save you 10% off. So you can get this knife or both knives. They actually make a pretty good set if you ask me. 10% off. This knife at $150 was already a steal of a deal, and I could easily recommend it. Using my discount code means you can get this for $135. That might be the best deal of the year. That might be the best value of the year on a brand new knife. Of course, sans any massive, random, crazy fire sales going on. For a brand new knife and a brand new knife model, this might be the best value that we've seen all year long. And that is something to say considering the amount of competition a knife like this has in the $100 to $150 range. I just don't know who's doing it better. For $135, because I know you're going to use my discount code. For $135, I mean, the amount of detail here, the quality of thinly ground S90V means that you get all of the edge retention properties of S90V, which are very, 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 very well known, but also the advantage of a thin edge bevel, which means that it's going to be easier to sharpen and hold that edge for longer. And by the way, it also happens to look pretty damn cool. And if that wasn't good enough, you could get it with different blade shapes. Full DLC, same price. Stop it. Stop it. I don't know of any full DLC knife with titanium and S90V that's a frame lock that you can get for $135 right now. I can't believe it. I do like the aesthetics of this guy right here. By the way, same deal here. T8 hardware all the way around. Ceramic bearings, ceramic detent. Action on this is really good. It's really good. We got perfect blade centering there. How's the lockup? Well, no issues there. All right, now that I've recommended both of these knives, I do want to talk about something specifically that I think is very important. When you get knives in the mail, especially knives that are made overseas, I highly recommend that you take them apart and you clean them with rubbing alcohol before putting a little bit of oil on the pivot, putting a little bit of oil on the detent ball, and then putting it back together and carefully retuning the action. Why do I say that? Because of two specific reasons. The first is that when these are shipped from wherever they were made overseas to the U.S., oftentimes they end up on these freight liners. They're traveling through salt water. Sometimes the boxes get wet. And so what do the makers and manufacturers do? Oh, they cover them in oil. They cover them in oil. That's the best way to ensure that they arrive there without any rust or without any issues, right? So that's reason number one. Reason number two is going to be that when they put these together en masse, when they are mass assembling these knives, oftentimes they are over tightening the pivot. And that's one of those things that can hinder action. And so I can tell you, I'm very, very satisfied. When these came in, I didn't blink. I took them apart and then I cleaned them. And there's, of course, oil everywhere. That's a good sign. A little bit of tuning, and I got to say, the action on here is incredibly well done. Hit the link in the description down below and thank me later. Guys, let me know what your thoughts are on these two new offerings from MALSECT. 100%. Have they leveled up enough to catch your attention yet? Or are these going to be a pass from you? If you like the video and you haven't done so yet, feel free to hit that subscribe button. But if you just want to watch some more awesome knife and EDC content, go ahead and click on one of the videos that pops up next.